Are you having trouble coming up with killer locations for your 5e or Pathfinder game? Do you want to design your own maps but you don't know where to start? I'm GM Jim and this is Wizards and Wordslingers. In this video, I'm going to talk about a creative way to quickly and easily make tabletop maps for your next session. And that is to steal locations from your favorite national park. And if that sounds too easy and oversimplified, it is. Wait, it's not. Damn, now I've confused myself. Anyway, what I'm saying is it's simple and easy to take geography from a national park and convert it into map locations for a tabletop game like D&D. We just need a little inspiration and some imagination. If you're a GM, you've probably already got the second requirement covered, and I'm about to tell you where you can get the first. A little about me here, and that is, I'm a huge US national park junkie. When historian Wallace Stegner called American national parks the best idea we ever had, I think the dude was really onto something. I've been to dozens of them, and there are still dozens more I hope to visit someday. But enough about me. The nice thing about national parks, and by extension their maps, is that they're generally built around a handful of specific landmarks. And so that means when stealing from a national park map to make a game map, we don't have to be granular about every little detail. We can focus on the main things and then fill in the rest with as much or as little detail as we want. Most national parks in the US have their own specific or unique features they're built around. Let's look at Yellowstone as an example. Generally, Yellowstone is a massive area of land that sits in the caldera of a supervolcano. That's what makes it different and full of wondrous things. And so what are its main features? We've got big geysers that spew at intervals like the famous Old Faithful. You have bubbling mud pots. You've got hot springs that carve interesting rock formations like Minerva Terrace. You've got these vibrant prismatic springs, large wild animal populations, tons of waterfalls, mini Grand Canyon, mountains, lakes, rivers, and historic buildings. Even just looking through pictures of the park should give you enough inspiration to start designing your own locations. But it's not hard at all to go a step further. You can download a PDF map from the National Park's website, and it comes complete with a location of lakes, waterways, roads, and major landmarks. It would be pretty easy to grab those inspiration pictures and drop them right on top of those landmarks on the PDF. Then boom, you've got enough to run a session. You probably wouldn't want to share that exact same map with your players, but you could recreate the general region or only parts of it on a whiteboard, on gridded paper, in the Notes app with an Apple Pencil, or by using map-making tools like Incarnate. But then we come to the question of, do you want your players to know where you got your inspiration from or not? You're definitely going to want to change the names of things so they fit in with your campaign world. But if you and your group live in Montana, for example, the real-world proximity to Yellowstone will probably clue them in once they start discovering geysers, bubbling mud pots, and hot springs. Maybe your group would find that super cool knowing they're exploring a facsimile of a real-world location. Or maybe you want to keep it more immersive by concealing your real-life inspiration. That's entirely up to you. If you do want to make it less clear, you could do things like mix elements of multiple parks, move things around, and do other tricks to obfuscate the origins of your map. Another option for keeping your inspiration hidden is to not use such a world-famous park like Yellowstone. And so for the rest of this video, I'm going to show you how to take pieces from a lesser-known but equally cool national park in Nevada known as Great Basin. Quite a lot of Nevada is flat, and so the 13,000-foot Wheeler Peak jutting up out of the landscape is quite an impressive sight. I adore this park, partially because it's less crowded. The Grand Canyon and Yosemite are spectacular, but they're so stuffed with people they're like theme parks. Great Basin is more out of the way, harder to get to, and so it's going to make a better location we can steal from that your players probably won't recognize. Also, I wrote an adventure novel set in the park named Penny Hendricks and the Charcoal Bullet. There's a link in the description below if that sort of thing tickles your fancy. Anywho, let's talk about this park and its major landmarks. The main feature it's known for is the bristlecone pine, which are these gnarled, odd-looking trees that can be thousands of years old. Literally some of the oldest living things on this planet. Also, we have Wheeler Peak itself, which is quite impressive because the vast elevation changes mean you can have arid desert at the base and icy tundra near the top. There's the Wheeler Peak Glacier. There's the impressive Lexington Arch, a giant limestone structure jutting up out of the mountain. And the vast network of Lehman caves which run underneath the mountain, including sites of indigenous art on the cave walls. Are your creative juices flowing yet? Now let's dig in deeper and talk about how we can use this national park as a campaign location. And I'm going to be a little vague here because I don't want to build a specific adventure for you. Rather, I want to show you how you can draw inspiration from real-life things to turn them into story beats. And obviously, you're going to want to change some of the names and details to make it your own. I've already mentioned how the mountain is an anomaly compared to the surrounding landscape, and historically, what happens with geographical anomalies. Early societies tend to regard these as holy places, like Uluru in the Australian outback, which, by the way, I've been to and is jaw-dropping. Anyway, back to Wheeler, so you have this mountain rising up out of the desert, and the locals view it as a sacred site. That means we're going to need to add the ruins of villages and shrines, etc., probably around the base. And likely some sort of current civilization still lives in the area. Let's say that water runoff from the glacier and wildlife hunting sustains them. That would make the local flora, fauna, and the glacier itself sacred elements of their culture. Between the mountain base and peak is a difference of 8,000 feet, which is a pretty tough hike. So it makes sense that there's some sort of ancient trail going from the bottom to the top, and perhaps trudging it was a rite of passage. It could be lined with weathered cairns and guideposts. Maybe we can steal a plot element from Zelda here and say the ancients used to carry a flame from marker to marker, keeping it lit all the way to the top. Maybe there's a current population of residents who still do this, and it's something that your party has to do to be accepted by the tribe. That sounds like a fun adventure complication. Going up the mountain, dealing with rock slides, waterfalls, river crossings, and monster encounters, all while having to keep a special magical torch lit the entire way. And there's plenty we can do with those bristlecone pine trees. In real life, trees can't talk, but maybe we can make these guys sentient and maybe the oldest one is in trouble. And I'm now just realizing that sounds like the Great Deku Tree if it wasn't obvious already that I've been playing a lot of Zelda. Maybe instead of carrying a torch up the mountain, the party has to escort a bucket of blessed water to the far side of the mountain for that tree. And then maybe that tree can impart its wisdom on the party with something important they need to learn, like how to defeat the BBEG or some other plot nugget. Maybe the other ancient trees are networked like some subterranean fungal organism, and knowing this could give the party a reason to venture into the caves below the mountain. I probably don't need to tell you what to do with the caves in your adventure. Put some monsters down there, obviously. And that cave art could be useful as plot hooks too. Maybe the villagers at the mountain base have been exploring the caves, but there are areas they can't get to, so they hire the adventurers to delve further into the caves and recreate the pictographs they find along the way. Uncovering the secrets of these people's ancestors could play a vital role in whatever grand adventure the party is on. Probably the most interesting landmark we can use here is the Lexington Arch. It's a gargantuan structure, so definitely give your party a reason to climb it. Maybe you could turn the arch itself into a vast network of mini-caves inhabited by fairies or some other tiny folk. The party has to find a way to miniaturize themselves so they can negotiate with the peoples who inhabit this micro-society. I could go on with specific ways about how to turn this terrain into plot devices, but you know I like to keep these videos short and sweet. And the point is, there's an infinite amount of material out there in the world that you could turn into game content. Like the meme says about going outside, the graphics are great, but the gameplay is terrible. So steal the graphics and invent your own gameplay. I hope I've given you the tools to figure out how to use various national park maps to your own benefit. If you found it useful, let us know in the comments below. Tell us your favorite national park, or if there's another one you'd like me to plumb for ideas, maybe I'll make that into a video. This could be a new series on the channel. And since I have you, I would love a like and subscribe. All it costs you is a click and ensures you'll get all my future content. Until next time, this is GM Jim telling you to steal all that's good in the world and turn it into game ideas.